It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. It could well be my tea of 2020 and it's only January. Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. Look who swooped into stock. Calamansi Swooper, our latest raw Gushu PuErh, is finally here. This is a spring 2019 Sheng PuErh. For those of you raising your eyebrows thinking, why is Don releasing a 2019 tea in 2020? Let's dive into the story. We are continuously searching for new producers and new farmers for PuErh tea in and around the Yunnan area, especially Gushu PuErh. If you don't know what Gushu PuErh is, I'll put a link in the description below so you can find out more. And so we've been searching, obviously we've been buying PuErh from all sorts of areas, but specifically, predominantly around the Sichuan-Banna area. So places like Hekai, Nanluo, Jingmai, Yiwu, Bingdao, all of those very, very famous, very, very revered mountains for PuErh. But of course, we always want to find new areas and new producers. And last year, we really sort of explored more to the west, north and west, specifically around the Myanmar border, and we found the tea for Dream Scene Smuggler, which is a combination of Myanmar tea and Chinese tea from just across the border. A delicious, creamy raw PuErh. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to find out more. But of course, we are always searching for different areas, different producers, and we're always asking around. And last year, our Zhenshui clay producers, I'll put a link in the description below if you want to find out about Zhenshui clay, they said to us that their absolute favorite raw PuErh comes from a producer, which is their friend, up in Daheishan, which is Big Black Mountain, up in the Linsang area of Yunnan. Now, we love Linsang teas. They tend to be very bright, very fresh, so we were very interested. And so we asked for their contacts. We then made contact with this producer and she started to converse with us and she agreed to send us samples of her tea. But the one that really caught our fancy was 300 to 500-year-old Gushu micro batch tea from 1,800 meters up in Daheishan, Big Black Mountain. So we got the sample sent to us, and the moment that I tried it, it was one of those moments where I had to sort of do a double take and just think, okay, hold on, I need to taste this against other PuErh teas just to check that my taste buds are calibrated properly, because there's something very different and very special about this tea, specifically a very zesty, tangy, calamansi orange or calamansi lime zestiness to it. Very particular aromatic pungency to the tea, which I found really, really special. However, it was very punchy, very, very punchy tea. And so, you know, I was tasting it, and there's a certain time pressure here because there's very, very little of this tea. So you've got to make a decision relatively quickly. We made the decision, we pushed the button to go on it. Not a cheap tea by any stretch of the imagination. It was a pricey tea, especially considering it's not from the more revered areas. The tea arrived in sort of autumn last year, and we tasted it, and again, that calamansi orange, calamansi lime zestiness just shone through. It was delicious. I wanted to put it out, but I was thinking, it's a bit punchy. I've got a lot of teas that I want to release, and I've got a lot of things that I want to do. And I, happened to also become a father around that time. And, we had to release the Gong Fu Code, and there was so much going on with Christmas and Black Friday and all of this that I thought, you know what? I think this tea can benefit from sitting a little bit longer. And so I have been looking at the tea, I've been having a cake open, looking at it, unwrapping it, looking at it, and I gave a little sample a couple of days ago, and I think that it is ready. But I wanted to hold fire and do this tasting with you. So let's dive into this tea, this Daheishan. I'll quickly scope the tea for you. So this is spring 2019. It's from the Dayejong variety, although every single area will have their own microgenetics, so that's a very broad thing to say. It's just sort of a broad type rather than anything specific. The origin is Daheishan, which is up near the Linsang area. The picking and processing is bud and up to 3 to 4 leaves. And from my recollection of the cake, it's more leaf material, but there are some buds, but smaller buds. And the elevation is 1,850 meters, I believe. Here we go. Calamansi Swooper, where's my phone? Take a look at that. So, the hawk taking a calamansi orange and using the more famous mountains of China as a zester. So this was our little sort of tongue-in-cheek, a little bit of a play here. We're just basically saying that the next door neighbor just came and zested all over you, Sichuanbana, because this tea is super, super zesty, super, super orangey. So, Calamansi Swooper, Spring 2019 tea. Let's dive in and do a full 10-step tasting. I am super excited. Calamansi Swooper, artwork by Celine, the hawk with the calamansi orange. Here we go. Wow, noticeably darker leaves. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Here we go. Let's take a look at the color of these leaves. We're seeing sort of prunes. We're seeing, you know, slight sheen of hairs. Not super hairy, but there's a definite sheen of hairs on this tea. Love this leaf, just embedded in the May leaf Neife. Gold, I see some sort of tarnished gold, and you can see some buds around, but they are smaller buds and not very fat. Now again, microgenetics of the area is going to play a part just as much as picking. Okay. Let's see how this breaks up. Pretty easy. I am salivating. I'm parched, actually. Haven't drunk enough today. Is that enough? Is that enough? What do you think? No, a little bit more, a little bit more. I reckon that's probably enough. Let's take this guy one. In fact, let's wrap this baby up first. We don't want this to get wet. There you go, Calamansi Swooper, put that away. In fact, let me just put it here. So it definitely doesn't get wet. I've got my blue guy one here. Ah, where's my frog? Let me get a frog. Right, here we go. Let's warm up this guy one. Full 10-step tasting. We've done ice dry leaf. And next is nose dry leaf. You can see the color of these leaves, definitely darker than if we had released it immediately after production. But as I said, it just, believe me, it was delicious. It was so ready to release. It's not really that it wasn't ready. It just felt like out of all of the teas that we were planning to release last year, this one had the most amount of benefit to just take off some of the edge of the freshness of the picking and just sort of round it out a little bit. And that's what I've been waiting for. So I've been sort of keeping an eye on it. I knew I was going to leave it towards sort of end of the year, but kept an eye on it. And now we're tasting it beginning of January. Let's see what it's like. Hopefully it's ready and we can release it. Super zesty, but also a bit creamy and also a bit minerally as well. I'm having salted butter with calamansi. If you've never had calamansi, it's a very particular tangy, but I guess the best thing to do is imagine you take orange juice and lime juice and you mix them together. That would probably be the best descriptor, I would say. It's got an interesting combination of the fruitiness and zestiness that we expect from, or I'm used to from the more northern parts of Yunnan Linsang area, but it's also got a creaminess, a butteriness, a sort of summer beachy vibe, a little bit raisiny as well, but buttery biscuits, raisins, and calamansi and salted butter. Let's give it a rinse. In fact, pour this water away so that Mr. Froggy here can get just pure tea rinse. There we go. Let's put the frog here. Front and center. Enjoy, before me, the calamansi swooper. The smells coming off this are making me very, very hopeful. Back in the number 1 spot. Right, let's have a smell of those wet leaves. Oh. Ooh, there's a like a deep sugared note to it, but very deep, to the point of you know how brown sugar or muscovado sugar can have a slight woody, licoricey note to it. But then I'm getting those, oh, what am I getting? Sultanas? It has a little bit of a dessert wine quality to it. And then limes. But limes, warm limes, I don't know how to say that, but as if you've taken lime juice and warmed it up, it just has lost some of that, that bright, zesty, very, very, very lemony note, and it's just become a bit deeper. And there is also a vague creaminess to it as well. And that was what was not so prevalent in the fresh leaf. And what I did when I tasted it when it was Mao Cha, before it was pressed, it was very, very bright, and we always have to factor in the fact that this is a Mao Cha and is going to develop. And then when I tasted it, once it came in and was a cake, it had all of these aromas that were really, really enticing, but it felt like they hadn't settled enough. I don't know if that makes sense. It felt like they hadn't found their place. It was a bit spiky, and it just needed to smoothen out. And I'm hoping that that's what we're going to get here. Oof, the smell on that is so complex. It's everything. It's lemony, it's limey, it's creamy, it's salty, it's minerally, it's sweet and sugary, it's very slightly licorice and woody. I did put quite a lot of leaf in, so I'm going to do short infusions. I'm not going to use a filter on this. I want to maximize the texture. So, I'm using one of these whiskey tasting glasses here. Just take a look at that. A lot of texture. We said that there wasn't that much hair noticeable, but in the actual liquor, wow, it looks dense, cloudy, not cloudy in terms of like a murky cloudiness. It's bright liquor, sort of a bright orange, one of those orange wines, but there's a lot of texture within it, suspended within it, and it's not moving. It looks thick. It looks thick. Wow. I don't remember it being super thick when we tasted it, but it looks very thick. Okay, cheers everybody. Ooh, smell again. This slight burnt sugar and lime. Texture, ooh. Oh. Oh, texture is very thick and greasy. It's oily. It's oily and thick. Much oilier. Much thicker than I remember. Oh, and the zestiness from the sides of my tongue. Instant zestiness. It's like I've you know, you've taken an orange and you've just scraped the skin, and it's just getting this puff of orange oils. It has a sort of pithy citrus bitterness, but it sits perfectly on the front, on the back center of the tongue, and then dissolves like a lozenge into a sort of orangey sweetness. First sip was pretty special. So thick. Super oily. Ah, now I'm getting creaminess though. Like orange and orange blossom. Creamy though, like not vanilla-y, more creamy, like a whipped cream, or more like a custard. Yeah, it's like orange blossom custard, or orange blossom creme pâtissière with calamansi zest, orange zest. It's somehow so full and yet so refreshing at the same time. It's creamy and warming and oily and in a way soft, but then it's also so zesty and so juicy and so invigorating, and it's making the sides of my mouth not tingle so much, but how can I describe it? It's a very difficult sensation to describe. It's not that battery tingle that I talk about, although there is a little bit on the top of my tongue. But it is like, I guess the best way to say it is a sort of acidic juiciness, just gushing out of the sides of my tongue. I feel like this is very juicy, very refreshing. It helps that I was very, very thirsty. Oh, wow. I need to brew up another infusion of this. Oh, wow. It has, I'm so happy that I left this to wait for a little bit. We only did that once before with a pu'erh, which is Monocle Boss. We released it in, I think, January the following year, and it really benefited from it as well, because those sort of grapefruity notes in the Monocle Boss just softened out. But this is great because you have just as much brightness, but just more balanced with creams, minerals as well. There are minerality, there's some stony, rocky notes happening very much in the background, on the back of my tongue. And jasmine through the nose. Jasmine and orange through the nose. I was going to give some to the frog, but I'm sorry. I'm taking all of this. Liquor. You don't have the advantage of seeing it through the light like I do, but wow, it is bursting with activity in there. In fact, you know what? We have to do this. I need to show you this torch. See if we can get a shot here. Can you see? Can you see just how much activity is going on in there? It's insane. I mean, it's glistening. It's absolutely glistening. It's like a whirlwind of little tiny glistening particles in there. Incredible texture there in the cup. Right, I have to calm myself down. Second infusion. Cheers, everybody. A lot of leaf. Packs a punch, but so refined. Holds it together. The taste is so full. It's so complex. bright calamansi orange, moving to orange blossom and that creamy creme pat. But there's also this deep pastry note too. It's like you've taken this orange zested and orange blossom creme pâtissière and you've spread it on some pastry or some millefeuille, some dark baked millefeuille, layered up. Just so delicious and desserty. And then afterwards, after all of that desserty goodness, you're left with this citrus, pithy bitterness on the back of your tongue that just dissolves into this sweet, sweet, orangey jasmine note, juiciness flooding through the sides, and just all of my saliva tastes sweet right now. It's such a full tea. It's like you've taken everything that you love in a pu'erh and thrown it all together. You've got bright, bracing, zesty, mineral, tingly, juicy, and then you've combined it with soft, warm, sweet, sort of pastry and cookie doughs from the more southern areas of Yunnan, like Yiwu, that Yiwu style warm. So it's like everything all in one. And you would think that that wouldn't work necessarily, but it does. It just works as a whole. Incredible. So as I said, this is supposedly 300 to 500-year-old Gushu trees. We can't verify the age, of course, but the moment I tasted the sample, we knew that this was definitely Gushu. And to be honest with you, this is even better than I remember it to be. Smell of the empty cup, wood chippings, sawdust wood chippings, then moving into hay, and sweet like muscovado sugar, so dark sugar. Wow, wow, wow. Finish on the mouth, as I said, the taste, super sweet. Lots of sweetness in my mouth, and I can feel already that this is just going to persist for a long, long time. Really, really sugary sweet in my mouth. I'm still having the sort of remnants of that. A little bit of that bitterness is still on the back of my tongue, but it's dissolving in this beautiful way, just sort of time release, dissolving into more sweetness, more sweetness, more sweetness. Jasmine through the nose, a lot of minerality going on, very, very long finish, very, very sweet taste. And the sensation is interesting. Again, two-toned, dry on the top, juicy on the sides. Wow. It's just a tea that has everything in it. All the tastes and all of the sensations that we love about pu'erh, all in one tea. Right, I'm going to roll through these infusions and I'll be right back with my thoughts on body sensation. People, this tea, this session, I don't know, there's something very special about this session. There's something very special about this tea. It's just amazing how it's just this meeting of everything in a pu'erh, but so balanced, zesty, bright, tangy, juicy, dry, creamy, soft, sweet. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. If this had been released last year, then this definitely would have been my tea of 2019. It could well be my tea of 2020 and it's only January. I mean, spectacular tea. I'm super happy I let this wait. I'm so happy I let this wait. It's got all of the punch that it had when it was fresh, but it's just toned it down and just like sculpted the flavors and brought out flavors that I didn't know were even in the tea in the first place. All of this sort of muscovado, sugary, millefeuille butteriness just wasn't being allowed to express itself in the fresh leaf because of all of that calamansi and lime taking over. Now it has. Now it is just singing. Wow. Body sensation on this. I mean, it's hard to sort of separate it because I'm so like excited about the taste of this tea and the experience in the mouth that it's hard for me to just dial back that adrenaline and say, well, how does this make me feel? Definitely has an effect. definitely a strong, it's more of a sort of, I wouldn't say it's particularly energizing, although, you know, I'm awake, but I would say it's got more of a sort of whiskey, actually fitting that I'm drinking out of this whiskey glass. I would say it's got more of a whiskey sort of wooziness, a little, you know, let's have another dram. It's heating, it's definitely got warmth. And it's still got refreshment, but I think that's more to do with this taste, this calamansi taste, this mandarin taste. Sixth infusion minerality is coming out, but it's beautiful minerality. Again, like a deep minerality. Nothing like a chalky minerality, just deep, deep minerality that just accentuates those jasmine, sweet aromatics that are coming through the nose. Let's take a look at these. Wet leaves, yeah, definitely woozy. Focusing. Right, so obviously greener, but surprisingly a lot greener than I would have thought, considering the colour of those dry leaves that were more prune. Here we go. Let's see if we can put this here. There you go. Sort of nice frog green. The buds you can see are there, but they are thinner, not thin, but thinner than some other parts of Yunnan. And again, that may be to do with the microgenetics of that area. It may be to do specifically with when it was picked. I'm finding it difficult to speak. So that should tell you something. But lovely leaves, lovely picking, an amazing tea that has shocked me and I think is going to be a favorite of mine throughout the year. And I can't wait to release it, and I can't wait for the Mayleaf staff to try it. You have to try it. It's a very special tea. I am in love with it. I hope that you love it too if you get to try it. If you do try it, please let me know your thoughts and see if I'm just, I don't know, losing my mind today. But this just feels like a real special pu'er that just seems to just tick all the boxes. So cheers everybody. Calamansi Swooper, still so much activity in the glass. I hope that you enjoy. If you try it, let me know your thoughts. That's it, tea heads. Check out our other videos, taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm a slightly tea drunk Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking, or just keep drinking this and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye. Woo!